A black helicopter thundered down onto the hospital roof just as the night nurse was wheeling a young woman toward the exit, her file stamped with the cold word discharged. Rain hammered against the windows, alarms echoed through sterile halls, and no one on the ground yet understood why a military-style aircraft had arrived for a patient the doctors had labeled anxious and overreacting. But within minutes, everything they believed about her condition, and their own certainty, would begin to collapse. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and listening to people when they say something is wrong, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel before we continue, because stories like this deserve to be heard by as many hearts as possible. Hannah Carter had arrived at St. Augustine Medical Center in Phoenix, Arizona, 3 days earlier with a pounding headache, tremors, and an overwhelming sense that something inside her body was spiraling out of control. She was only 28, a middle school teacher who spent her afternoons helping struggling students and her weekends volunteering at a community garden. Her friends described her as resilient, but even resilience cracked under the weight of constant pain and the quiet humiliation of being dismissed. Doctor after doctor skimmed her chart, noted her clean history, and reassured her that stress and dehydration could explain everything. She was sent home once, returned the next day worse, and still found herself facing polite smiles and skeptical glances. Her younger brother, Caleb Carter, had flown in from Denver when her symptoms worsened. He watched helplessly as nurses adjusted 4 lines and physicians offered reassurances that never felt like answers. Caleb had grown up idolizing his sister. She had raised him after their parents passed away, guiding him through grief and uncertainty with steady patience. Seeing her now, confused, trembling, and pleading for someone to look deeper, felt unbearable. He tried to advocate for her, but hospital routines and quiet authority often drowned out his urgency. The days blurred into one long stretch of fluorescent lights and whispered conversations in corridors. Hannah's condition fluctuated, sometimes appearing stable enough for discharge and other times frighteningly unstable. Her chart filled with notes that emphasized anxiety, migraines, and possible exhaustion. Yet she felt something far more sinister building inside her. The world around her sometimes warped, her heartbeat raced without warning, and she struggled to stay conscious. Still, the system moved slowly, guided by protocols that left little room for a voice that didn't fit expected patterns. Meanwhile, across the country in Boston, a neurologist named Dr. Samuel Brooks scrolled through an online medical forum where complex cases were occasionally shared for second opinions. A nurse named Claire Henderson from St. Augustine had quietly posted anonymized details of Hannah's symptoms, unable to shake the feeling that something had been missed. Dr. Brooks recognized a rare neurological disorder that could become fatal if untreated. His heart pounded as he realized the urgency. He had seen only 2 cases in his career, and both had deteriorated rapidly when early signs were ignored. Dr. Brooks immediately contacted the hospital, but bureaucracy slowed the exchange. He insisted on advanced imaging and specialized treatment unavailable at the small facility. The clock ticked while paperwork and insurance concerns lingered in endless loops. Claire felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her. She risked professional backlash for pushing beyond standard procedures, yet her intuition refused to stay silent. On the 3rd night, as a storm rolled over Phoenix and thunder rattled the glass panels, Hannah was scheduled for discharge once again. Her vitals appeared stable for the moment, and administrators wanted to free a bed during the busy season. Caleb tried to protest, but exhaustion dulled his arguments. Claire walked beside the gurney, her eyes scanning Hannah's pale face, feeling an uneasy knot in her stomach. Then came the sound, a deep, roaring vibration that shook dust from the ceiling panels. Staff members rushed toward the windows as a black medical evacuation helicopter descended onto the rooftop helipad. Its arrival felt surreal, cinematic, and impossibly dramatic against the gray sky. Emergency responders burst through the doors with urgent purpose, carrying specialized equipment and instructions signed off by federal emergency health authorities. Dr. Brooks had escalated the case to a national rare disease response team, arguing that delay could cost Hannah her life. The sudden shift transformed the atmosphere. Physicians who had once dismissed her symptoms now scanned her chart with renewed urgency. Tests were repeated, imaging rushed through, and the rare disorder Dr. Brooks suspected was confirmed within hours. Hannah was transferred onto the helicopter, with Caleb gripping her hand, tears mixing with relief and fear. The rotor blades sliced through the storm as the aircraft lifted off, carrying her toward a specialized neurological center in Los Angeles. The days that followed were a blur of procedures, medications, and cautious hope. Specialists worked around the clock, stabilizing Hannah's nervous system and gradually reversing the damage that had nearly taken her life. Caleb slept in a waiting room chair, whispering silent prayers while watching machines blink and hum. Claire received updates from afar, her heart lifting each time she heard that Hannah was improving. Recovery was slow but steady. Hannah faced weeks of rehabilitation, relearning simple tasks and rebuilding strength she had lost during her ordeal. Yet she carried a newfound determination born from survival. She met other patients who had experienced similar dismissals and vowed to use her voice to advocate for those who felt unheard. Her story began to circulate online, not as a tale of blame, but as a reminder that medicine required humility as much as knowledge. Back in Phoenix, the staff at St. Augustine Medical Center underwent intensive training sessions about rare conditions and patient advocacy. Dr. Samuel Brooks visited to speak about the importance of listening carefully to symptoms that didn't fit easy categories. Claire's quiet courage became an example of how compassion and intuition could save lives when paired with expertise. Months later, Hannah returned to teaching, her students welcoming her with handmade cards and tearful hugs. She spoke gently about resilience, explaining that strength sometimes meant insisting on being heard even when others doubted you. Her bond with Caleb deepened. They carried forward a renewed appreciation for every ordinary moment. If this story is already touching your heart, here's a special request. Pause for a moment and share in the comments where you're watching from and one act of kindness you've witnessed or given recently. Your stories help build a community that believes in hope. As Hannah stood on the rooftop of the Los Angeles Medical Center during her final checkup, she watched another helicopter land in the distance. The sound no longer filled her with fear. Instead, it reminded her that someone, somewhere, was being given another chance. She thought of Claire's courage, Dr. Brooks' determination, and Caleb's unwavering support. She knew her survival wasn't just about medicine. It was about people choosing empathy over convenience. Near the end of her recovery journey, Hannah recorded a video message thanking everyone who had believed her when her voice felt small. She encouraged viewers to listen to loved ones with patience and to advocate for those who struggled to be heard. Her message spread across social media, inspiring countless individuals to trust their instincts and seek second opinions when necessary. Before this story ends, if it has moved you in any way, if you've ever felt overlooked or found hope in unexpected places, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps more people discover stories that remind us all to be compassionate and courageous. Hannah's life returned to a rhythm filled with simple joys, morning coffee, laughter with students, long walks under desert sunsets. Yet she never forgot the stormy night when a black helicopter changed her fate. It became a symbol of the moment when doubt turned into belief, when silence gave way to action, and when one person's persistence ignited a chain of kindness that saved a life. Her journey taught everyone involved that listening deeply could be the difference between tragedy and transformation, and that sometimes hope arrives with thunderous wings just when it feels too late.